Ambassador Tivic had lived for 300 cycles. In all that time, he'd seen many strange things. He had watched stars die. He had seen empires fall. He had met creatures made of living crystal and beings who existed as pure thought. But never, in all his long life, had he seen anything quite so funny as the humans. He stood on the observation deck of Orbital Station Harmony, watching the newest arrivals with great amusement. The human delegation had come aboard 2 days ago. 5 of them. 5 soft, pink, fleshy little creatures from a world called Earth. They walked slowly on 2 legs. They had no claws, no armor, no poison, no psychic powers, nothing at all that made them special. Tivic turned to his aide, Counselor Mivra, and let out a soft laugh. His pale blue skin crinkled around his 4 eyes as he smiled. "Deathworlders," he said, shaking his head. "Can you believe it, Mivra? The Galactic Council actually put their planet on the Class 12 Deathworld list." Mivra blinked her secondary eyes in confusion. She was young, barely 60 cycles old, and still learning the ways of galactic politics. "Surely that must be a mistake, Ambassador. Look at them. They seem so fragile." Exactly my thought. Tivic watched as the human delegation crossed the atrium below. There must be an error in the database. Someone probably entered the wrong numbers. These creatures could not possibly come from a dangerous world. The human group was led by a male called Kevin Park. He was their scientist, an expert in alien life forms. He had brown skin, dark hair, and a smile that seemed permanently stuck on his face. He was always trying to talk to other species, always asking questions, always wanting to make friends. Tivic found it almost sad how hard he tried. Walking beside Kevin was a female named Emma Wright. She was supposed to be some kind of military officer, though Tivic could not imagine why. She was small, with pale skin and hair the color of fire. Her eyes were green, like the forests of Tivic's home world. She moved with purpose, always watching, always alert. But what threat could she possibly pose? She had no weapons that Tivic could see. No natural defenses. Nothing. The other 3 humans were scientists and assistants. They stuck close together, looking around at everything with wide, curious eyes. One of them, a young male named David Lee, had actually jumped when a cleaning drone floated past him. Jumped, like a frightened prey animal. "Watch this," Tivic said to Mivra. He pressed a button on his communicator. Increase lighting in Section 7 by 40%. Below, the humans all squinted and raised their hands to shield their eyes. "You see?" Tivic laughed again. "They cannot even handle standard lighting levels. The female Emma complained yesterday that our normal lights were too dim. Now they are too bright. Their eyes are weak. Their bodies are weak. Everything about them is weak." Mivra nodded slowly, but she seemed uncertain. "But Ambassador, why would the Council classify their world as dangerous if it is not? The Council does not make such errors lightly." Tivic waved a thin hand dismissively. "Politics, my dear. The humans are new to the galaxy. They have only been traveling between stars for a short time. Perhaps someone wanted to make them seem more impressive than they are. Or perhaps the survey team made mistakes. It happens." He turned away from the window and walked toward his office. Mivra followed close behind. "I have read their history files," Tivic continued. "They fight wars against each other constantly. They have destroyed large parts of their own planet. They cannot even agree on simple things like how to govern themselves. Half of them believe in invisible beings that live in the sky. The other half argue about everything. They are chaos wrapped in soft skin." "That does sound troublesome," Mivra agreed. "Troublesome? It is pathetic." Tivic settled into his chair and brought up his holographic display. "The Palian people achieved unity 10,000 cycles ago. We speak with one voice. We think with connected minds. These humans, they are like children. Loud, messy, confused children. Mivra sat across from him, her 4 eyes focused on his face. And yet they survived. They built ships. They found their way to the stars. A lucky accident, nothing more. Tivic pulled up the human file and scrolled through it. Look at their world. They call it Earth. Average temperature. Standard gravity. Yes, they have some large animals, but nothing truly dangerous. Some earthquakes. Some storms. Nothing that a properly evolved species could not handle easily. He stopped at a section about human biology and laughed again. They sleep for 8 hours every day. 8 hours! A third of their entire existence spent unconscious and helpless. Any predator could eat them during this time. How did they ever survive? Perhaps they are more clever than they appear, Mivra suggested carefully. Tivic closed the file with a sharp gesture. Clever? Please. I have spoken with their leader, this Kevin Park. He is friendly, harmless. He asked me about my favorite foods and wanted to know about my childhood. He treats diplomacy like making friends at a social gathering. He has no understanding of power, of threat, of dominance. The ambassador stood and walked to his window, looking out at the stars. Station Harmony hung in the void between 3 major trade routes. It was a meeting place, a neutral ground where all species could come together. 300 different kinds of beings lived and worked here. And now there were humans too. They will be gone within a year, Tivic predicted. The galaxy is not kind to soft species. They will encounter something they cannot smile their way past. They will meet a predator they cannot befriend. And then, he made a gesture with his hand, like something falling apart. Nature will take its course. Should we warn them? Mivra asked. Why bother? They would not listen. Humans are stubborn creatures. They think they can survive anything because they survived their little planet. They do not understand how dangerous the galaxy truly is. Tivic allowed himself one more soft laugh. In the atrium below, Kevin Park was now talking to a group of Kryn traders. He was smiling, gesturing with his hands, completely unaware of how many ways those Kryn could kill him if they chose. Poor, foolish humans, Tivic thought. Coming into the galaxy with nothing but soft bodies and foolish smiles. They had no idea what awaited them. No idea at all. But what Tivic did not know, what none of the 37 species on Station Harmony understood, was that humans had spent 200,000 years learning one very important skill. They had learned how to look harmless. They had learned that the best weapon was not claws or teeth or armor. The best weapon was being underestimated. And right now, every alien on the station was making the same mistake that countless predators on Earth had made before them. They were looking at humans and seeing prey. They could not have been more wrong. The alarm tore through the station at 3 in the morning. Kevin was dreaming about home when the sound ripped him awake. For a moment, he did not know where he was. Then memory returned. Space station, aliens, diplomatic mission, right? He was out of bed in seconds. His body moved before his mind caught up. Years of fieldwork had trained him to wake fast, to be ready for anything. On Earth, slow people became dead people. That lesson lived in his bones. He pulled on his clothes and checked his communicator. The alert was coming from Biodome 7. Something had gone wrong there. Something bad. Kevin ran. The corridors of Station Harmony were chaos. Aliens of all shapes and sizes were rushing in different directions. Some were running toward the biodome. Others were running away. Fear had no language barrier. Kevin could see it on every face, every tentacle, every rippling membrane. He reached the biodome entrance in 4 minutes. A crowd had already gathered there. At least 30 different species, all pushing and shoving and making noise. Their translation devices created a wall of panicked sound. Kevin pushed through the crowd until he reached the front. Ambassador Tivic was there, his pale blue skin now almost white. His 4 eyes were wide with terror. Beside him stood Emma, her face calm but her body tense. "What happened?" Kevin asked. Emma turned to look at him. "Someone turned off the containment field. The Varax is loose." Kevin felt his stomach drop. He had studied the station's animal collection when they first arrived. The Varax was the most dangerous creature aboard. It came from a jungle moon called Kethfor, a world of endless green and constant death. The beast was the size of an earth tiger, but far worse. 6 legs, armored skin, spines along its back that dripped poison, and 6 eyes that could see in complete darkness. "How many people are trapped?" Kevin asked. Counselor Mivra answered, her voice shaking. 17 researchers. They were doing night observations when the field went down. They managed to reach the elevated platform, but she could not finish. Kevin moved to the observation window and looked inside. The biodome was huge. A full kilometer of artificial ecosystem, designed to copy different planetary environments. There were forests and streams and hills covered in strange plants. Soft blue and purple lights made everything glow like a dream. But this dream had a monster in it. Kevin could see the researchers on their platform, high above the ground. They were huddled together, holding each other, crying. Below them, moving through the shadows, was the Varax. The creature was hunting. It circled the platform slowly, patiently. It was in no rush. It knew its prey could not escape. Every few seconds, it would look up at them with those 6 terrible eyes, testing, waiting, enjoying their fear. "Send security drones," someone in the crowd shouted. "We already tried," Tivic replied. His voice cracked on every word. The creature destroyed 3 of them. It ripped them apart like they were nothing. It is intelligent. It learns. It adapts. Kevin watched the Varax move. The alien was right. This was no stupid animal. This was a perfect predator. It had killed over 400 sentient beings in its recorded history. 2 entire civilizations had died because of creatures like this one. What about weapons? Emma asked. Surely the station has defense systems. The biodome is shielded, Mivra explained. Energy weapons will not penetrate the walls. And if we send soldiers inside with physical weapons, they will die. The Varax is too fast, too strong. No one can face it and survive. Tivic straightened his back, trying to regain his dignity. We have contacted the heavy response team at Outpost Kira. They have specialized equipment for situations like this. They will arrive in 6 hours. 6 hours? Emma's voice was sharp. Those people don't have 6 hours. Look at them. They're terrified. Someone will panic and fall. Or the Varax will find a way up. Then they will die, Tivic said flatly. The words hung in the air like stones. There is nothing we can do. No being in this galaxy can face a Varax alone and live. It is simply not possible. Kevin stared through the window at the trapped researchers. One of them was young, barely more than a child by her species standards. She was crying silently, a small body shaking with fear. He thought about his grandmother. She had grown up in a small village in Korea, a place surrounded by mountains and forests. She used to tell him stories about the tigers that once roamed those hills, about how a grandfather had walked among them, learning their ways, earning their respect. Fear makes you prey, she would say. Calm makes you something else. Kevin turned away from the window. Open the door, he said. The crowd fell silent. Even the translation devices seemed to stop working for a moment. Tivic blinked all 4 of his eyes. I am sorry. I must have misheard you. You didn't. Kevin looked directly at the ambassador. Open the door. I'm going in. That is suicide, Meaver whispered. You will die. Maybe. Kevin began removing his jacket. He did not want anything loose that the creature might grab. But those people definitely will if someone doesn't do something. Emma stepped forward. Kevin, are you sure about this? I can go instead. I have combat training. Combat won't help here. Kevin handed her his jacket. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. You know what you're doing? Tivic's voice rose high with disbelief. You are a human. You have no claws, no armor, no weapons. You are soft and slow and weak. What can you possibly do against a Varax? Kevin smiled. It was a strange smile. Calm, certain, almost peaceful. I'm going to introduce myself, he said. He walked to the door. Behind him, the crowd erupted in confusion. Voices overlapped, all saying the same thing in different languages. He was mad. He was stupid. He was throwing his life away for nothing. Tivic grabbed his arm. I cannot allow this. If you die, it will create a diplomatic incident. Kevin gently removed the ambassador's hand. If I die, tell my people I died trying to help. They'll understand. It's what we do. He nodded to the station officer at the door controls. The officer hesitated, looking at Tivic. Do it, Emma said. Her voice was quiet but firm. The officer pressed the button. The door hissed open. Kevin stepped inside, and the door sealed shut behind him, through the observation window. 30 different species watched as a single human walked calmly into the darkness. Toward a monster that had killed hundreds. Counselor Meaver fainted. Ambassador Tivic could not look away, and inside the biodome, the Varax raised its head and began to move toward its newest prey. The air inside the biodome was warm and wet. It smelled like growing things and dirt and something else. Something sharp and dangerous. The smell of a predator. Kevin walked forward. He did not run. He did not creep. He did not try to hide. He simply walked, putting one foot in front of the other, keeping his steps even and calm. The artificial lights above cast everything in soft blue and purple shadows. Strange plants grew on all sides of the path. Some had leaves bigger than his body. Others glowed with their own inner light. Small creatures scattered as he passed, running away from both him and the thing that hunted nearby. Kevin kept walking. His heart was beating fast, but he did not let it control him. He had felt this fear before. In Alaska, when he spent 3 weeks in the wilderness, tracking grizzly bears for research. In Africa, where he watched lions hunt from just 20 meters away. In India, where a king cobra had once wrapped itself around his boot and tested him with its tongue. Fear was normal. Fear was healthy. Fear meant you understood the danger. But fear could not be the master. Fear had to be the servant. He breathed slowly, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Each breath pushed the panic down, made it smaller, made it quiet. The researchers on the platform had seen him now. They were pointing, their faces confused and terrified. They did not understand what he was doing. They thought he was walking to his death. Maybe he was. But Kevin had learned long ago that death came for everyone eventually. The only choice was how you faced it. The Varax appeared. It came out of the undergrowth like a shadow given form. 6 legs moved in perfect silence across the ground. Its body was covered in dark armor that seemed to drink the light. The spines on its back stood up, each one dripping with poison that could kill in seconds. And those eyes. 6 of them, arranged in a circle around its head, each one red as blood and bright with terrible intelligence. Kevin stopped walking. The creature was 30 meters away. It had frozen when it saw him, surprised by his appearance. For a moment, They simply looked at each other. Human and monster. Prey and predator. Then Kevin did something that made no sense to any being watching. He started walking again. Toward the Varax. Directly at it. Outside the biodome, Ambassador Tivic pressed his face against the observation window. His blue skin had gone completely pale. What is he doing? Why is he moving toward it? Emma stood beside him, her arms crossed, her face unreadable. He's showing it something. Showing it what? His desire to die? No. Emma's voice was soft. He's showing it that he's not afraid. Inside, Kevin continued his approach. The Varax lowered its head, confused. Its spines rattled together, making a sound like dry bones shaking. This was wrong. This was not how prey behaved. Prey ran. Prey screamed. Prey froze in terror and waited for death. This creature did none of those things. Kevin kept his eyes on the Varax, but not in an aggressive way. He did not stare. He did not challenge. He simply acknowledged. I see you. I know what you are. I am not hiding from you. 20 meters. The creature began to circle him slowly. It was testing him, looking for signs of weakness. Looking for the fear scent that all prey produced. Looking for the trembling, the quick breathing, the racing heart that meant food. It found nothing. Kevin's body was calm. His breathing was slow and steady. His heart had actually slowed down now, falling into the rhythm he had learned through years of practice. He was not pretending to be unafraid. He had moved past fear into something else entirely. 15 meters. The Varax stopped circling. It tilted its massive head, those 6 eyes blinking in sequence. This was new. This was strange. In all its years of hunting, it had never encountered a creature like this. Kevin lowered himself slowly to one knee. The movement was smooth, controlled, non-threatening. He placed one hand on the ground to steady himself. The other hand he held out, palm open, fingers relaxed. Outside, Counselor Mivra had recovered from her faint. She stood on shaking legs, staring through the window with all 4 of her eyes. He has lost his mind. The terror has broken him. No, Emma said quietly. Watch. On the platform, the trapped researchers had fallen silent. They were no longer crying or screaming. They were watching the human below with something like wonder. 10 meters. The Varax took a step forward. Then another. Its movements were cautious now, uncertain. It was still dangerous. Still deadly. But something had changed. The confidence of a predator meeting prey had shifted into something else. Curiosity. Kevin remained perfectly still. His hand stayed extended, an offering and a question. His breathing matched the slow rhythm of the Varax's own movements. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow, steady, patient. On Earth, humans had learned that all predators followed certain rules. They responded to movement, to fear, to the chemicals the prey animals released when they panicked. But if you could control those things, if you could present yourself as something new, something that did not fit into the simple categories of prey or threat, then even the most dangerous creature would hesitate. 7 meters. The Varax's spines had slowly flattened against its back. The rattling had stopped. Its breathing had changed, becoming slower, matching the rhythm of the strange creature kneeling before it. 5 meters. Kevin could smell it now. The scent of alien biology, of a life form evolved on a world far different from Earth. It smelled like copper and rotting plants and something electric, like the air before a storm. He did not flinch. He did not pull back. He simply waited, his hands still extended, his body still calm. The Varax was close enough to kill him now. One leap, one bite, one slash of those massive claws, and Kevin Park would be dead. The creature knew this. Kevin knew this. Everyone watching knew this, but neither of them moved. They simply existed together in that moment. Two products of evolution. Two survivors of dangerous worlds. Two beings who understood, on some deep level, what it meant to face death and keep breathing anyway. Outside the window, Ambassador Tivic whispered something in his native language. The translator did not catch it, but the meaning was clear. Impossible. The word echoed in the minds of everyone watching. Absolutely impossible. And yet, there it was. A human kneeling calmly before a monster, waiting for something that no other species in the galaxy would dare to hope for. Contact. The Varax had killed 437 sentient beings in its documented history. Kevin knew this number. He had read it in the station's database when he first arrived. He had seen the images of what the creature could do to a body. He had studied the reports from the two civilizations that had been destroyed when Varax Pax decided they were competition. None of that mattered now. What mattered was the slight change in the creature's posture. The way its weight had shifted from its front legs to its back legs. The way its spines had gone from standing tall to lying flat. The way its breathing had slowed to match his own. These were the signs. These were the things that told Kevin the impossible might be possible. He remained still. His hand stayed extended. His eyes stayed soft, never challenging, never threatening. He was not trying to dominate the creature. He was not trying to scare it. He was simply being, existing in its space, offering something no prey had ever offered before. The Varax took another step forward. 2 meters now, close enough that Kevin could see the individual scales of its armor, close enough to see the small scars on its face from old battles, close enough to see the intelligence in those 6 red eyes. This was not a stupid animal. This was a thinking creature. A creature that could plan, could adapt, could learn. And right now, it was learning something new. It was learning that not all soft creatures were food. Kevin began to hum. The sound came from deep in his chest, a low vibration that traveled through his body and into the air. It was a song his grandmother used to sing to him when he was a child. An old Korean lullaby about the moon and the stars and the dreams that came in the night. He did not remember all the words. He did not need to. The melody was enough. The vibration was enough. The intention behind the sound was enough. The Varax tilted its head. Its 6 eyes blinked slowly, one after another. The rattling of its spines had stopped completely now. Its mouth, which had been slightly open to show rows of teeth as long as Kevin's fingers, slowly closed. 1 meter. Kevin could feel the creature's breath on his face. It was hot and wet and smelled of things he could not name. Death lived in that breath. Hundreds of deaths. Thousands of meals. A lifetime of hunting and killing and surviving. But there was something else too. Something Kevin recognized from his years of working with animals on Earth. Under the predator, under the killer, under the monster, there was a creature that had never been offered kindness. The Varax had always been feared, always been hunted or hunting, always been alone in a universe that saw it only as a weapon or a threat. No one had ever looked at it and seen anything else. Until now. Kevin moved his hand slightly. Not toward the creature, but up. Palms still open. Fingers still relaxed. An invitation. The Varax lowered its head. Outside the biodome, 30 species held their breath. Ambassador Tivic had grabbed Emma's arm without realizing it. His grip was tight enough to leave bruises, but Emma did not move. She did not blink. She did not look away from the scene in front of her. "Come on," she whispered. "Come on, Kevin." The Varax's head was level with Kevin's now. Those 6 eyes were inches from his face. Each one was the size of his fist. Each one held more intelligence than many species gave it credit for. Kevin kept humming. The melody filled the space between them. The vibration moved from his chest through his arm and into his still extended hand. The creature's nostrils flared. It was smelling him. Not just his body, but his emotions, his intentions, his soul. If such a thing could be detected by alien senses, that it found no fear, that it found no anger, that it found no threat, that it found only calm, only patience, only an offer of something the Varax had never received in its entire existence. Trust. The creature moved forward and touched Kevin's hand with its snout. For a moment, the universe stood still. Kevin felt the creature's skin against his palm. It was warm and rough, like leather that had been left in the sun. Under that skin, he could feel the pulse of an alien heart, strong and steady and alive. The Varax made a sound. It was not a growl. It was not a hiss. It was something new, something that no researcher had ever recorded. A low, rumbling vibration that seemed to come from deep within the creature's chest. A purr. Outside, Ambassador Tivic's legs stopped working. He sat down heavily on the floor, still staring through the window. His mouth moved, but no words came out. What? Counselor Miver's voice was barely a whisper. What is happening? Emma smiled. It was a small smile, but it held more pride than she had felt in years. He's making a friend, she said. Inside the biodome, Kevin slowly moved his hand. He stroked the ridge above the Varax's eyes, following the natural lines of its scales. The creature leaned into his touch, pressing against his palm like a cat asking for attention. The purring grew louder. On the platform above, the trapped researchers stared in complete shock. One of them, the young one who had been crying before, let out a small laugh. It was a strange sound in that place of fear and death, but it was real. It was relief. It was hope. Kevin stood up slowly, keeping his hand on the creature's head. The Varax moved with him, staying close, not wanting to lose the contact. Its 6 eyes had half closed, giving it an expression that could almost be called content. It's okay, Kevin said softly. Not to the researchers. To the creature beside him. I understand. Being feared all the time is lonely. Being seen as a monster is lonely. But you're not a monster. You're just an animal. Just a survivor. Just like me. The Varax pressed closer to him. Its massive body vibrated with that impossible purr. Kevin looked up at the platform and smiled at the terrified researchers. You can come down now, he called out. It's safe. I promise. No one moved. They were too shocked to respond. Kevin turned to the observation window. He could see the crowd pressed against the glass. Dozens of alien faces frozen in disbelief. He saw Emma, standing calm and proud. He saw Tivic, sitting on the floor with his mouth hanging open. He saw Miver, clutching her chest like she might faint again. He waved at them with his free hand. The Varax followed his movement, turning its head to look at the window. 30 species flinched backward at the same time, as if the creature might somehow attack them through the glass. Kevin laughed softly. Yeah, he said to the Varax. They're scared of you, but they'll learn. Everyone does, eventually. The creature made another rumbling sound and pressed its head against Kevin's shoulder. A human and a monster, standing together in peace. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 hours later, the doors of Biodome 7 opened. Kevin walked out first. The Varax walked beside him like a loyal dog. Its massive head came up to his shoulder. Its 6 legs moved in a slow, relaxed rhythm. Its spines lay flat against its back, harmless and still. Behind them came the 17 researchers, walking in a line of stunned silence. Not one of them had a single scratch. The atrium was packed. Word had spread through the station like fire through dry grass. Representatives from every species aboard Harmony had come to see this moment. They filled every level, every walkway, every balcony. Hundreds of eyes and sensors and tentacles, all pointed at the human and the monster walking side by side. No one made a sound. Ambassador Tivic pushed through the crowd on legs that still felt weak. His pale blue skin had not recovered its normal color. His 4 eyes kept blinking, as if trying to clear away a dream that would not end. How? His voice was rough, broken. How did you do that? Kevin stopped walking. The Vorax stopped too, sitting down on its back legs like a trained pet. Its 6 eyes scanned the crowd, but there was no hunger in them now. Only curiosity. Only interest. Every predator is just an animal trying to survive, Kevin said simply. Fear triggers their hunting instincts. Aggression triggers their defense. But calmness, patience, that triggers something they rarely encounter. What? Tivic asked, curiosity. Kevin reached down and scratched behind the Vorax's central ear. The creature made that impossible purring sound again, loud enough that the closest alien stepped backward in surprise. On Earth, we have a saying. There are no dangerous animals, only misunderstood ones. Maybe that is too optimistic. But the principle is true. Every creature responds to intention. You just have to know how to communicate. Tivic stared at the human. He had spent 300 cycles studying diplomacy, politics, and the nature of power. He had negotiated treaties between empires. He had prevented wars. He had shaped the fate of billions, but he had never seen anything like this. The Galactic Council's classification, he said slowly. Class 12 Death Planet. I thought it was a database error. Emma stepped forward from the crowd. The other humans were behind her, watching with quiet pride. No error, she said. Her voice carried across the silent atrium. Earth has earthquakes that level cities. Hurricanes that flatten everything in their path. Tsunamis that swallow coastlines. Volcanoes that can darken the sky for years. She paused, letting the words sink in. We have parasites that eat you from the inside. Bacteria that dissolve flesh. Viruses that spread faster than thought. We have creatures with enough venom to kill 100 beings and predators that hunt for the joy of it. Our own sun gives us cancer if we stand in its light too long. The crowd listened in growing horror. Some of them had started to shake. And yet we do not just survive there. We thrive. We build cities in flood zones and on fault lines. We climb the highest mountains because they are there. We dive into the deepest oceans just to see what lives in the darkness. We walk into the territories of apex predators and make friends with them. Emma pointed at the Vorax, still sitting contentedly beside Kevin. On Earth, we did not run from creatures like this. We did not hide. We domesticated wolves and turned them into our companions. We ride horses, animals that weigh 5 times what we do, for fun. We keep as pets snakes that could strangle us and birds that could blind us with their claws. She let out a small laugh. Your Vorax is impressive. But on Earth, we had tigers, lions, bears, great white sharks, saltwater crocodiles. Every continent, every ocean, every environment on our world had something that could kill us. And we outlasted them all. Ambassador Tivic sat down heavily on a nearby bench. His legs simply would not support him anymore. You are not prey, he whispered. You never were. No, Kevin agreed. We are not prey. We are not predators either. Not really. We are something else. Something new. We are the creatures that looked at death and decided to understand it instead of run from it. He stepped closer to Tivic, the Vorax padding along beside him. The ambassador flinched but did not move away. Every species on this station evolved on safe worlds, Kevin said gently. Stable climates. Predictable environments. You developed in peace and reached the stars through calm, logical progress. You never had to fight for every single generation. You never had to be both prey and predator at the same time. He smiled, and for the first time, Tivic saw what lay behind that friendly expression. Centuries of survival. Millennia of struggle. An entire history of looking into the jaws of death and saying no. Humans are different. Our world tried to kill us every single day for 200,000 years. And we won. Not by being the strongest or the fastest or the most dangerous. We won by being the most adaptable, the most stubborn, the most unwilling to give up. Kevin looked around at the assembled aliens. Palians and Kryn and Valesi and dozens of others. All of them staring at him with new eyes. We learned to face anything, he said. To understand anything. To adapt to anything. Your monsters are just animals to us. Your death worlds are just new places to explore. Your dangers are just problems to solve. He turned back to Tivic and offered his hand. A human gesture. An offer of friendship. You called us weak because we are soft. But soft things bend instead of breaking. You called us foolish because we smile at danger. But smiles hide the teeth beneath. You called us prey because we look harmless. But looking harmless is how we got close enough to survive. Tivic looked at the extended hand. Then at the Varax, sitting calmly like a pet. Then at the other humans, standing together with quiet confidence. I underestimated your species, he said finally. I apologize. Kevin took his hand and helped him stand. Everyone does, Ambassador. Everyone does. Behind them, the Varax yawned. It was a terrifying sight. Rows of teeth as long as human fingers. A mouth that could bite through armor. But when the yawn finished, the creature simply curled up on the floor and closed. Its 6 eyes, the most dangerous predator in 3 sectors. Tamed by a human with patience and a gentle hand. Perhaps, Tivic said slowly, we should update those database classifications. Class 12 Death Planet seems insufficient. Emma laughed. You might want to add a warning too. Something like, do not underestimate the humans. They are more than they appear. Tivic nodded weakly. I will include that in my report to the council. The crowd began to move again, slowly returning to their normal activities. But everything had changed. The way they looked at the humans was different now. There was less amusement, less pity, more respect and perhaps just a little bit of fear. Kevin sat down next to the sleeping Varax and leaned against its warm side. The creature made a soft sound in its sleep, content and peaceful for perhaps the first time in its life. Welcome to the galaxy, Emma said, sitting beside him. I think they finally understand who we are. Kevin smiled and closed his eyes. Not completely, he said. They still think this was impressive. On Earth, we call this Tuesday. Emma laughed. The Varax purred in its sleep dot and across station harmony. 37 species began to reconsider everything they thought they knew about the soft, smiling, harmless creatures from the Class 12 Death World called Earth. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. And somewhere, in the great databases of the Galactic Council, a new entry was being prepared. A warning for all species. A truth that had been hidden for too long. Deathworlders are not a myth. They just learned to smile.